If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to Why Write. Hi, welcome to Why Write. I'm your host, Angela Grout, and I'm so excited to be doing a Zoom today with my friend from the Berkshires who is Zooming in with us. This is Jene Sais Quoi. And let me tell you about Jene. She is an internationally known artist, actress, model, fashion designer, and entrepreneur. Her alter ego, Indashio, became a popular TV personality and was crowned Glam God on VH1. Indashio has made her mark as an unforgettable fashion icon, and she's dressed big name celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Nikki Hilton. How exciting is this? She has hosted shows on major networks and been featured in the Wall Street Journal and Access Hollywood and People magazine. But now she has evolved into her true authentic persona as Jene Sais Quoi. And she has published her memoir, This Little Light of Mine, to help others embrace their authentic selves. So I want to welcome into the Zoom studio, Jene Sais Quoi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy that this worked out, that you could come on the show. Love to have you in the studio, but this is just as good. Look at that fabulous poster behind you, that beautiful picture. And you've been working on this book for a couple years now.
We have been talking about me coming on your show for so long. I'm so happy that it's finally here and it's finally happened. So yay, thank you again for having me.
Oh,
And yeah, my book is finally here. It's kind of surreal. This weekend actually I'm kicking off my world book tour in my hometown of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And so I'm doing a book signing this Saturday at the Barnes& and Noble there. Then I'm hosting Boston Pride, doing an event in Boston, and then I'll just be on a whirlwind of a worldwide book tour, so giving my light to everyone.
well, it is so exciting to know that you finished the book because I know how hard it was to write a book. I know how hard it is to write a book, but when you're writing a memoir and you're writing a memoir about, we're going to jump right in here. You're talking about like you were born Brad.
Hmm.
And Brad then developed and became this iconic fashion designer. And, you've had this whirlwind career, which you can talk a little bit about as your persona of Indashio. But now, you have embraced the feelings that you were born with to be authentic in your body and identify as a woman.
Hmm. Well, I was born a girl with a penis. That's when people are like, "Oh, you were born a boy." I'm like, "No, I was born a girl with a penis." And people told me that I was a boy. And my whole life I was trying to say, point out the things that I liked, dresses, Barbies, boys, and was always redirected to kind of, the right path or whatever. And so I kind of always felt sabotage. And then, as a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, etc. My parents would always say, "Why do you have such a chip on your shoulder?" And it was because every time I had to be not myself, that little chip was kind of chipping away. And so,
Yeah.
I had to learn really young on how am I going to survive? How am I going to navigate this? How am I going to, make my parents happy and society happy and my classmates happy, my school? How am I going to make this easier? And so I've kind of mastered becoming a chameleon, and I knew I needed to get out of this little small town of Pittsfield, Massachusetts, which now I have a new respect and appreciation for. But as a teenager and a young person growing up LGBT in the '90s, it was a really an uncomfortable place because being gay was so taboo to talk about it, and people would ask me questions constantly like, "Are you gay? Why do you talk like that? Why do you walk like that?" So people kind of knew that I was gay before even I knew what gay was. And I
And
remember
they
I
did
went.
accept you as a gay man it did evolve. You did get accepted as a gay man and living your life as Indashio, you were living your life as a fashion designer as a gay man.
Yeah, well, it's really, it was so hard for me to kind of even find that label gay man because I had so much homophobia instilled in me and so much kind of shame that I didn't even come out to my mom until I was 28 years old. But my mom knew that I was gay since the moment I popped out.
Yeah.
But I just was that conversation didn't happen until so much longer and later. And it was something that I was so fearful and struggling with because I was like, why is everybody pretending?
Right.
Like everybody was pretending. And I'm like,
And, and
hello.
you have there, I've read the book. I'm honored that I was able to read the book. Thank you. Before it was out. But you have this, you share the moment of when you told your parents, you share the moment of when you decided you were going to actually come out. And you're right, because I was called I use the term gay man, but because you are a woman trapped in a man's body, you are actually
I never felt like a gay man.
heterosexual with a penis, right?
Yeah. It was really weird. I never kind of identified that and it took me so long to even, wanting to be able to go to a pride parade because I never felt proud. I felt like ashamed. And so, now I'm so thankful that I'm able to kind of be Jene. So Indacio, I'm super grateful for because that was kind of my Clark Kent to my Superman that let Brad become Indacio and was able to do things, Brad could never go to, do a fashion show or create a collection or um, do all these things. Although he could, he thought he couldn't. And so
Well, he did.
Indacio,
He did.
he,
He just
he
created the persona to do it through.
exactly. So I'm so grateful for Indacio. He was kind of like, my fairy god, glam god, because I it was really able to kind of give me that bridge to become myself. And I remember in 2007, I watched a 2020 documentary on trans kids, and I just remember like thinking, "Oh my God, this is me." I was like, it kind of like shocked me, and I was it was profiling, parents with their kids, and their kid wanted to wear a dress and was obviously trans, and I just thought fashion saved me because I was able to use that outlet to dress other people, and then I was vicariously living through Kim Kardashian, vicariously living through my sister, everybody that I dressed. And now finally I get to be my own muse. And it's the best time in my life right now. And I'm so grateful for it.
I know, and look at you, you're a hot blonde.
Thanks.
And because we're both identifying as women, I'm not gay, so I'm not going to date you. But now I'm feeling a little threatened because we might be going after the same type of guy.
We were talking about that. We both like tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah, yeah, tall and dark, right? We like the dark hair. We like them to be taller than us. So yeah, just like
Yes.
having that type. So let's talk a little bit about writing the book because this is your memoir, and you did use you did have someone who helped you as a ghostwriter, help you to get the words on the page to help with the publishing. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like working with them?
Yeah, I mean, it takes the village, and I wanted to write this book for so long, like and I started to, and I think maybe 3 years had gone by, and I had maybe 11 pages written, and but it was all in my brain. And somebody who I feel like has ADHD, I you kind of need that help, and so I hired a ghostwriter to help me, and she was absolutely amazing with a creative collaboration. That's what I love so much about being an artist is these making art and creative collaborations. And so Amy, she we did like 6 hours of interview over the period of a couple
I was gonna
months.
say you did verbal interviews, so she was taking notes, and then she would turn
and
in written
and
pages to
record
you.
it, yes. And then we put together kind of a book format, or an outline, and then we just kind of start. We just it just happened, and she really got my voice and my story and my message because I meditated on it and I prayed on it, and I'm really praying and hoping that this book, like sets the world on fire with my little light because it's not a memoir, it's a movement, and it's not my story, it's everybody's story, it's
It
everybody's.
is true. It doesn't matter if you're LB, what I mean? Everyone needs to embrace their light. Everyone should show their light. And, it's definitely something, difficult to do. I mean, I know I struggled with it, not as a florist. As a florist, I was fine. I was comfortable in my little floral shop, playing with my flowers, talking to customers, sharing my stories verbally, but then putting them onto the page and then, coming out and becoming a public speaker, those are different identities that you have to embrace and say, how do I share this? How do I get this voice out there? And with the help of a ghostwriter, you were able to get your voice, get it out there. And then of course, you go through the whole editing process, which, I'm sure, especially with a ghostwriter, you're going back and forth with pages to make sure that it is authentic of, the what happened when you told your parents you're come out, what, the moment that you shared it with your partners and your friends. And then, even just like documenting the history of your journey, from Brad to Indashio to Jene.
Yeah, it has been such a journey, and so I'm just so thankful to be here on this side of it, and I hope that my story inspires people to live their truth and authentically, and but most of all, just to unleash their inner superhero. We all have a superhero inside of us, begging to come out, and we are constantly diminishing it, and the things that I learned, especially even the last just couple of months, is how much we get in our own way. And I have been, been my worst enemy, because I've been self-sabotaging and kind of getting in my own way. And so, I think that, you just, better, you do better. And we're all on this journey together. And I hope that this book too can spark conversations for unity, because I think we're a lot more alike than we are different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as much as you are transgender, this book, I don't feel like this book is about being transgender. This is about, what's it called when you lift up, like
Yes,
just
transcending.
transcending. Thank you. It's more about transcending. And, the fact that, there's a poem called The Dash. I'm sure you've heard it. And a lot of people read it at funerals because it's like, you have your birthday and your death day, the years, and there's the dash in between. And what you do with your dash is embrace your authentic, and here I'm thinking just the name Indashio. Do you know what I mean? Like you have your birth and now it's like that started your whole dash to get you to where you're going, and oh, you're sideways now, but that's okay.
I'm
There you
sorry.
Oh, look at that. I mean, look, I wore sparkles today, like to try to match the sparkle on your
You
cover.
look
And
absolutely gorgeous.
I wish, I mean, people are going to buy this book, but I can't wait for them to buy it and feel the texture of the book. Let's talk about your cover.
So my cover, which actually I went through, oh my God, my mom keeps calling me. I hate always happens when I do a Zoom.
Mom, we're
You know,
busy.
the phone always blows up when
Yeah, of
you're
course.
using it. So yeah, this is it. Actually, I went through maybe four different covers till I finally found this one, and now that I have this one, this is it. And it just really, I feel like represents the story in me in my book. But yeah, I wanted a matte cover, but then on the version I think that I gave and I showed you, it was like matte. But then I got this one, and this one's matte. And I feel like I needed a glossy. So
Yeah.
I changed my mind a lot. Maybe some will be glossy, some will be matte. But yeah, no, I love the cover. And I forgot actually who shot it. What
Well,
was
I
her
just remember,
name?
when you were picking out your cover, we were talking about like the feel of the paper and the feel of the cover, and you like the matte print, and it almost had like a little leathery type, pleathery feel to it, and then but then adding the color and the photo and the sparkles, and it just gave it such a boom. And I mean, and sort of fortunately but unfortunately, the first thing people see when they see a book is, we say don't judge a book by its cover.
But
Books
we
do get judged
do.
by their cover, as we know people do too. And in the transgender world, you can definitely identify as, with that. But it's like, here you created this, beautifully bound book. You went hardcover. You're hardcore because a lot of people don't do that. It's expensive and it's time consuming and it's heavy, and here you've got to lug all these books around to your book signings, and kudos to you for doing all that because it, like you said, it does take a village, but the village is, in this
Mm-hmm.
vessel that we have.
Right. Um, yeah, no, I'm just so excited because at first I didn't want to be on the cover. I was like, because people do judge you by a cover, and I was like, maybe
But
it should just
look,
be about the story. But then, it just happened this way, and so I'm on the cover. It is my story. So now I love it.
well,
I'm obsessed with it, and I'm really
Well, you
excited.
should be. I mean, that's the person that you've created. That's your authentic self. That's how you've always seen yourself, as this woman. So here you get to, I'm sorry, my timer is going off right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want it to buzz. Um, it's like you get to show the world who you are and who you've always been, and coming out as an adult, is safer, and you can own who you are and not have, I'm going to say, not have as much judgment. How do you feel?
Oh, I mean, I constantly feel judged. I mean, but I'm actually a little bit used to it and oblivious, and I'm used to getting a lot of attention everywhere that I go. So I'm kind of a little bit desensitized to it.
Okay.
But I know if I go out with somebody maybe for the first time who's never, maybe gone out with me anywhere, they're like, everybody's staring at you, or so I'm used to I'm a little bit used to it. I love it. If they
Well,
don't stare, then I am like, why isn't
yeah, you're
anybody
like, oh
looking
no, I'm
at
just a
me?
plain Jane. Nobody cares that, I'm embracing my authenticity. So, I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's great. It's wonderful that you wrote this book. Where can people get the book, This Little Light of Mine?
You can get this little light of mine on my website, jsqworld.com, and your tickets to the Light Up the World tour. I'll be in Philadelphia on the 29th. I will be at the Hard Rock Cafe. I will be at the Beverly Center in Los Angeles on the 29th. Um, and go to my website for more tour dates. I'm really excited. You guys get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever
You know what, Janae, you
finer
really
books.
embrace this. And I think for writers who are out there who are trying to get their authentic voice and get their authentic story out, um, you're inspiring because I can say I've known you since when you started the book, and just knowing the process of writing it, finding your ghostwriter, getting the story on the page, editing all, putting it in a book, getting it published, and then turning around and turning it into the marketing aspect that needs to come from the author, and doing this book tour and making the plans to do that. I mean, these are things that authors, when we're writing, we don't always consider that, what we have to do after the book is done. And if you want people to read your story, that's what you got to do. So kudos to you for planning all this. And geez, I'm ready to go on the road as your agent, so maybe I need to come out to
Well,
Philadelphia.
kudos to you, Angela, because you have created such a huge, amazing platform for writers and to have conversations to inspire, other writers, and so thank you and kudos to you for, you fostering all this creativity in literature.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it comes from, creating this ends up coming from my own curiosity. Like I'm so
Hmm.
curious of, what's that book about? Why did you write that book? I mean, of course, a lot of people are curious of, the man born thinking they're a woman, or a woman born feeling like they're, there's the curiosity sake in that. And then there's the reality sake of, taking action, and your story is that. It
Oh,
is
thank
that.
you. Well, I'm just so grateful that be here on your show, and I'm so grateful that you read my book, and I hope that this is the start of something really, really huge.
Yeah, what else are you going to do? I mean, you're going to write another book, or
I'm
are you still
definitely gonna write
designing clothes? We want to know. Are you
this
still a
book.
fashion
This
designer?
book is just if anybody who really really knows me, I always like to leave people wanting more. So this is a page turner. It's super cinematic. It was made to be a TV movie or a series, and there will definitely be a part two. So I'm actually gonna be once the tour dies down, I'll start writing um the series of the next chapter.
Yeah, I mean, because I would like to see this as a film. It would be
Me
a
too.
really
Well,
good
I'm
film.
shopping it. I'm shopping it now. I'm talking to a couple studios. And so, yeah, so hopefully it will
Yeah.
be.
And, for people to see the fashion designs that you have created, I mean, you've been to Europe, you've done the Paris fashion shows, or Fashion Week, right? I
Yeah,
can't.
I walked in Paris Fashion Week last year or the year before, and it was such a dream come true. I felt so beautiful. Paris is just like New York. It's a city of dreams. It's so magical. I was there and I felt like I was on a movie set. And but yeah, no, I have a lot of great photos too in the book. I'll show you a couple here. This is
Thank you,
from
thank
one of
you,
my
thank you. Oh, I
collection.
had that in my notes.
Um,
Show us some pictures because,
yeah,
yeah,
some of my artwork. I was inspired by the movie The Danish Girl when I was transitioning, and so I started to celebrate me and paint me. And then, so I have some really great photos from the movie that I did, Ocean's 8, the wardrobe fitting, just kind of behind the scenes of my life.
yeah,
And
I mean, it's a real memoir. And the pictures, I really wanted to bring it up because seeing pictures of like you as a child, seeing pictures of you as the fashion designer, seeing you, you know, where you are now, like it's such a visual story.
well,
Look
this
at
is
how
her. This is who I
cute.
dedicated the book to. This little 4-year-old girl who just wanted a place in the world and just wanted to be herself and just wanted to be able to play
Yeah.
with Barbies and, wear a dress. And so I hope that, with all this rah-rah of people who don't know how to mind their fucking business, let people just live, let
Yeah,
people
yeah,
live
yeah.
and
No.
be
I
live.
I always say I accept people who they are in the moment. I don't care how you identify. I don't care who you're sleeping with. I don't care what position you like the best. Like that's all for your own privacy type stuff. It's like just be who you are, embrace it. And I always say like as long as it's not harming you and it's not harming someone else, then it's good for the world.
Well, I lived in New York for 20 years. And so, being a New Yorker, one of the things is I feel like the rule number one is mind your fucking business, mind your business. If it ain't your business, mind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect you, if they're not your kids,
Yeah.
mind your business. Okay. Like it's not your business, So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but that's kind of my take on it. But
Well, you are beautiful inside and out. I'm so glad that you're sharing your little light. I will definitely put the link to your website on this podcast so that people can click right on, go buy your book, find out about your book tour, go meet you in person. You're larger than life, so they need to get their picture taken with you and get an autograph. And thank you so much for coming on.
Angela, I love you. Thank you for your Why Right, and thank you for this show, and thank you for this moment. And I will see you on tour.
Sounds good. All right.
Bye,
Bye. I'm gonna
guys.
say bye to Jene Sais Quoi. Thank you for coming in. Thank you to my studio or to the audience for coming in every week to see, different writers on this show. That's why yWrite is here. Meet writers, find out why they write their story, how they write their story. It will help you write your story. And today I want you to start thinking about your authentic self. Is it your authentic story you need to tell, or are you trying to carve out your authentic self? So the writing prompt today, I want you to set your timer for about 5 minutes, and I want you to start making a little list or write a paragraph. And, start the paragraph with, I feel authentic when. And if you're going to do a list, write the times, write when you feel authentic. And then you can start carving out that authentic story you want to tell or sharing your authentic self with the world because you need to shine your light. I'm shining my light. Jene Sais Quoi just shine her light. And you know what? We just want to embrace everyone exactly where they are and just say that the world is a better place because we're all different and we're all unique. Because if we were all the same, it would be a very boring place. So thank you so much for tuning into yWrite. Again, I'm Angela Grout. Have a great day. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned because our 100th episode will be coming on soon and we got some very special things going on. So again, have a great day. I will see you later. Bye-bye.